Looking for a guaranteed way to create content that resonates with your audience? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients and let them choose the topic of the interview. Because if your ideal clients care about the topic, there's a good chance the rest of your audience will care about it too. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Jonathan Anderstrom. He is the president at Creed Interactive. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to chat with you today, Jonathan. We're going to be talking about recruiting and retaining talent, particularly as it relates around having a clear vision and a clear purpose. And you've had some kind of firsthand experience with this lately. But before we get into diving into the topic, I'd love for you to explain to our listeners, Jonathan, what is Creed Interactive? What are you and your team up to?
Yeah, Creed Interactive is a web development and UX shop based out of Minneapolis, St. Paul area here. We have about 20 web developers and designers on our team working B2B businesses to help explode growth.
I love it. And so around this topic, Jonathan, of recruiting and retaining talent, you were mentioning to me offline that this is a particular issue with you being in the area that you're in because there's actually a negative unemployment rate right now. Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's a really hot market here in the Midwest. And one of the things that we've just identified is that our own growth has been limited by our ability to make fast and the right hires at the right time. And so with a team of our size, every hire is critically important. And we spend a ton of energy recruiting. It's actually more energy for us to recruit the right person than it is for us to sign up a new account or additional sales. So something that we've spent a lot of time and energy with.
So we're going to be focusing the bulk of our time together today talking about the importance of having a clear vision and a clear purpose so that you can recruit and retain talent in an efficient way and recruit and retain the right talent. So I want to start by talking about kind of the difference between the two, because you hear vision and purpose kind of intertwined a lot. So from your perspective, Jonathan, what's the difference between vision and purpose?
Yeah, vision is where are we headed? It's painting a picture of the promised land and where we're all going to push forward towards together. So it's really kind of the where are we going? Purpose is the why. Why are we going there? What is the benefit of it? What is the reason behind it? How does this impact me and why should I care?
And particularly with, you had mentioned with, the younger the talent is, the more they tend to kind of care about the purpose. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we've noticed about millennials and even Gen Xers and older is just the why is becoming increasingly important. I think people have gotten burned out of jobs in the past or have seen their parents run through the rat race and get to the end of their career and not have much to show for it other than some money in the bank account. And they're just questioning the status quo, which is why I think you're seeing a lot more mixtures of philanthropy with business and nonprofit work included into the missions of for-profit organizations. It's something that we've tried to implement a bit ourselves.
Got it. So, Jonathan, when you were really crafting the vision for Creed Interactive, can you walk us through the process? What went into landing on the vision that you guys have today?
Yeah. Well, part of it was always very clear. With my background, I was at several large ad agencies that worked for other businesses and saw some of the things they did well and saw some things that could be improved. And so there was always, in my mind, a need for technologists who were all in. And that's really the vision that we've set for Creed is a passionate team of designers and developers that are all in on their brand. So it's flipping the stereotypical antisocial behavior of a technologist on its head and having people that are engaged and passionate about what they do. And so we move forward with that vision of creating a tight-knit and talented teams and long-term partnership clients with a team that's really all in. The problem was trying to identify how do you articulate that to clients and new hires. So I would spend an hour trying to explain this vision to someone, And at the end, they would sort of repeat it back to me, kind of what I said. And I was kind of like, well, close enough. And it wasn't until a seasoned business mentor that I was very fortunate to run into came alongside of me. And, I basically asked him, would you be willing to mentor me? And he kind of looked at me and we kind of looked at each other and we're like, well, what does that mean? Like, do we have to wear hoods and like chant things, or like, what does mentorship in 2017 look like?
Yeah.
And so he came up with this brilliant idea. He's a 40-year business owner, retired, extremely successful individual. And he came up with this idea to, let's just talk about three things. Let's just talk about your mission, your vision, and your values. I was like, oh, that's easy. We'll be done in half an hour. Wow. And so I explained it to him, and he's like, well, okay, I want you to write that out. So I wrote it out on 5 pages of paper and handed it back to him. And he's like, okay, I want you to put this on 1 page. And long story short, as you can imagine, 2 years later, I'm still working on articulating and refining it. And I was able to engage one of the best copywriters in the whole Midwest here to help me articulate it. And that's where the all-in came from. And then it also gives us a chance to talk about creed for us, which is a set of beliefs. The word creed means a set of beliefs. And then we can launch right into our beliefs. But that iteration and cycling back and forth with the business mentor that I had here was invaluable for articulating that vision in a very clear way that people can understand.
Got it. And I'm assuming that's had a noticeable difference now throughout the hiring process in how you're articulating that to new hires or to people that are coming kind of through the hiring pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. Before it was, like I said, an hour conversation. And now in about 15 to 30 seconds, we can articulate who we are, what we do, why we do it. And with that clarity, people just want to jump on board. It's amazing. I'd sit there for weeks trying to recruit someone to our organization and coming up with all these great incentives and ideas. And really what they wanted to know is, what do you do and why do you do it?
Yeah.
And for the people that align with our vision and our mission and our values, it's instant connection. And the cycle of hiring has decreased rapidly. In fact, in the past 2 years, I can't remember a single instance of a hire that we wanted to bring on that did not want to join us because of that.
Wow. And so that's speaking to the vision side of it. So
Yeah.
when you rope in the purpose side of it, Jonathan, was it a similar process that you worked through to kind of articulate that as well?
Yeah, it was. The vision was relatively easy, like I said, because I already had it in my head and I just needed to figure out how to say it.
Yeah.
And the purpose piece is much more difficult because the why is different for each person. Each person has their own why.
Yeah.
Why do you get up out of the bed in the morning to go to work? And to try to build commonality among a growing team that way is much more of a challenge. And so where we chose to focus was on two things. One was on articulating our values, because the values that we have shape the why. The second is that we ranked the 4 different stakeholders within our business. So, and this would be true for pretty much any B2B business. So we ranked our team, our clients, our work, and our profits, because we felt like putting one over the another would give purpose and direction and meaning to everyone involved. And each organization is going to rank this differently. There's not a right or a wrong way to rank those 4 items. But the way that we ranked it was in the order I just read it. So we put our team first, and then we put our clients, and then we put our work, and then we put our profits. So with that, the purpose behind us then is to build this tight-knit and talented team. And so if we bring on work that isn't building that team, we'll fire that work or remove it. And then on the next layer, for our clients, if a client asks us to do work that might not be our favorite to do, if it really has a business reason that benefits them, we'll do that. Our purpose then is to help our clients. And then the work would come above the profits and so forth. And so it gives this whole framework and philosophy on how we do it. But really it's the values that power that. And so for our organization, we came up with 4 values. One is being all in, which I already mentioned.
Yep.
The second is excellence in our work. The third is resourcefulness and serving others. And the serving others component is really the one that the tightest for our purpose and resonates the most. So we mix pro bono work with volunteerism, with paid work for nonprofit organizations, and then the intersection between those 3 as a way to give back and to make an impact beyond just our business purposes that we have. So, for instance, my wife and I were in Haiti twice last year on some aid projects there, and we have a whole host of nonprofits that we work with as well.
That's awesome. I just implemented a similar thing with our team, really in trying to communicate our mission and our values more frequently. And so I did it for the first time last Friday, but every Friday sending a kind of an update email to the team, just like kind of giving kind of a big picture. Hey, this is what's happening in the business, but tying each one of those updates to one of our 7 core values. And so just trying to figure out, how do you hack, once you have the values, then the hard part is communicating those and really embedding those into each person on the team, so that they really, it's fueling the quality of the work that they're putting out because they're really bought into the values. And so I love that you've been so intentional and thoughtful about crafting them and then executing on how do you walk these out every single day in the business.
Yeah. 2 things that can really help you, James, as you implement that is, one, look for examples of people exhibiting those values and call those out during your staff meetings or your get-togethers. Picking one to highlight each week or whatever has been really helpful to reinforce it. And the second thing that we do is in our review process, we identify different areas that their performance did or did not align with the values. So we list each of the values, and then we have a spot that correlates to their job description on how those values are exhibited. And based on that, they get a raise or not. So their compensation is tied to whether they're living out the values or not. And it's a whole different level of accountability when that happens.
Oh, that's incredible. Jonathan, this has been fantastic. It's been super helpful for me. I think our listeners are going to get a ton of value out of this as well. If there's somebody that wants to stay connected with you, or if they want to learn more about Creed Interactive, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those things?
Yeah, contacting us through our website, creedinteractive.com, CREED, interactive.com.
Love it. Awesome. And then, Jonathan, are you on Twitter or LinkedIn, or if folks want to connect with you personally, how can they do that?
Yep, just a simple search on Jonathan Anderstrom on LinkedIn will find me.
Love it. Awesome, Jonathan. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I think this is going to be super valuable for our listeners, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
If you've been getting value from this podcast, you can help us reach more people by reviewing the show on iTunes. Here's how you can leave a review in less than a minute. Open your podcast app and tap the search icon in the bottom right corner. Type in B2B Growth, then select our show. Once you're there, tap the Reviews tab and tell us what you think of the show. These reviews help us out a ton.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.